Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and today we're going to be making Minion cookies. Now, Minions have really perfect circular eyes, so I'm going in with a tip to trace that eye, and I'm also doing this with a cookie cutter, for the ones that only have one eye. Now, you don't need to do this part. You could easily just freehand your circles, but I think if you want really, really perfect Minion eyes, you need to do this. It's really, really hard to pipe a perfect circle. I also want to note that I am using an edible marker, so make sure that you don't go at this with a Sharpie. I am using a flooding and piping consistency. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you might want to check out this video in the right-hand corner first. Now, this consistency is super, super easy to work with. It stays nice and puffy, but it is strong enough to pipe, so it holds its shape. And it also kind of just lets itself flood whatever you are flooding. What I mean by that is, see here how I'm using my cookie scribe to kind of get out those bubbles, but after a little while, it just kind of settles into itself. I don't even really need to use the cookie scribe, but for some parts where I maybe put too much, I like to spread things out just a little bit. You might also notice that I'm not using any tips in my piping bag. I am using a tipless bag, and ever since I've started using these, I've never looked back. I don't get a lot of curling with these, and it just seems to be a lot easier to clear up any clogs that might happen. Now, if you want to make your Minion eye a little bit sleepy or a little bit cheeky, then you can go ahead and just kind of cut off that bottom part. We're going to fill that in with yellow later on, and then just fill in the rest with white as normal. Now, we are putting on the white part first because we want it to sit a little bit more inlay. Whenever you're making sugar cookies, it's a series of deciding what is going to go first. We're going to put little minions celebrating at the bottom of these cookies, so I wanted to show you in a little bit slower motion how we make these. I'm actually piping this quite haphazardly. You'll notice I had a little bit of a clog there and I just pulled it right out. So easy to do with these piping bags. Now, the reason that I'm not piping super perfectly is because this icing quality is so good that I can just kind of do whatever and it's still going to end up looking pretty nice and smooth. I literally left that icing there for about 10 seconds until it fell back into itself, and then I'm going to put some sprinkles on. I do want a little bit of an ombre effect, so I'm making sure to direct a lot more sprinkles at the top and then do little by little. Yay, now it's time to make the Minion color. What I love about the Minion color is that it's just a straight yellow, nothing fancy and nothing that I have to super color match or anything. Now, if you want to know how I got that white icing dried so quickly, you can go ahead and check out that right-hand corner video. There are two parts here that you do have to be careful with. You do want to make sure that you pipe quite carefully around the eye area, and you want to make sure to avoid any over flooding. Now, if you made the right royal icing consistency, you're not going to have any issues with things flooding over. Minions vary in height, so right now I'm making a shorter minion, but I'm going to put their little arms up so it looks like they're going, yay! So you'll notice that I left this part blank before because I wanted that eyelid to kind of protrude out a little bit, just like they do in the cartoon. To make this gray is a little bit tricky. You can just try adding a dot of black to your royal icing, but chances are it's going to go a little bit purplish. So what I do to counteract that is add a dash of yellow and then a slight amount of purple. What the yellow does is it warms up the gray a little bit. Now, if you've warmed up the gray too much, then you can go ahead and add that purple color in to bring that coolness back in. And then eventually you'll end up with a color like this. This is probably the most scariest part of the tutorial. I say that because you do have to pipe these circles fairly carefully. And it does take good piping skill to be able to do this. So you do want to be careful, just go nice and slow. And if you feel yourself losing control or messing up, then you just want to go ahead and stop squeezing that bag and use your cookie scribe to get things a little bit more perfect. You'll notice that I do that a couple times, so it's really not a big deal. The other thing is this might fail every time if you don't have the right icing consistency. I wanted to show you two ways that you could do the Minion eyes. So here I'm using a little bit of fondant. If piping circles is not your thing, then using the fondant is really going to help you. Then you're going to go in with that gray royal icing and then pipe around those circles. Of course, the eyes tend to look a little bit more goggle-like when you do this, which I mean, they are goggles, so that would make sense. But I do like the Minion eyes a little bit more inlay, so it's really just up to you. Now what I'm doing with these dots is I'm adding in their little hands. Now Minion hands only have 3 fingers, so you're in luck. You only have to pipe 2 dots, wait for those to dry, and then we're going to pipe the other ones later. It's time to bring these characters to life, and that really comes in the eye area. Now, you can completely do this with edible markers. You can get a selection of edible markers in various colors, and that way you wouldn't have to paint at all. But as I was doing this with my edible marker, I didn't like how it wasn't super black. I wanted it to be nice and shiny black, so I end up going over with paint later on. The key to getting Minion faces correct is just making sure that you put the eyeball right in the center of those goggles. You also want to make sure that their smiles are completely filled in black, or you can add little teeth in as well. I wanted to make things super simple for myself, so I just stuck to the facial expressions where I didn't need to add teeth in. Lately, I have just been painting with my edible airbrush. I just find it really easy. I don't have to mix anything with vodka or any other extracts. It's just ready to go, and the color comes out a lot lighter, which is what I am looking for. Then when you're doing those black details, you want to make sure you use a really thin brush, fill the pupil completely in, and then you're going to add those lines for the iris part. Now for this, you want to make sure that you don't go too heavily on the black, just really nice and light. Having white food coloring on hand as a cake or cookie decorator is a must. The power of some well-placed white food coloring is amazing. It really adds depth to whatever you're doing. If you just want classic Minions, you can totally skip this part, but the person that I'm making this for requested some for her little girl as well. So I am adding on a little bit of fondant flowers here, and I'm just using a mold to do this really quickly. To adhere the fondant to the cookie, all you need is a dab of royal icing. These turned out so beautifully for a local mom and her kids in my area. I really hope that they enjoy them. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of this sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!